static, breathing. The jungle hums like a living beast. Viking Actual were surrounded. 50+ hostiles. Both sides of the road. High ground. Tessa Grayson adjusts the focus on her scope. Sweat runs down her temple. 4 minutes, she murmurs. That convoy's already dead. The math doesn't lie. 12 SEALs, 50 fighters, 24 heavy weapons, 60 rounds in her rifle. Even perfection wouldn't be enough. Command's last order echoes in her head. Hold position. Observe only. But she can still hear the voices on that radio, fear disguised as discipline. Her thumb brushes the trigger. I'm not built to watch. Before we begin, tell us, where are you watching from? And if you believe honor and courage still matter, help keep their legacy alive. Static. Breathing. The jungle hums like a living beast. A faint voice breaks through the noise, strained, barely holding together. Viking Actual were surrounded. 50+ hostiles, both sides of the road. High ground. Tessa Grayson adjusts the focus on her scope. Sweat trickles down her temple, the metal of her rifle warm against her cheek. 4 minutes, she whispers. That convoy's already dead. The math doesn't lie. 12 SEALs, 50 enemy fighters, 24 heavy weapons, 60 rounds in her rifle. Even perfection wouldn't be enough. She exhales once, steady and calm, though her pulse hammers inside her chest. Command's last order echoes in her head. Hold position, observe only. But she can't forget the voices on that radio. Fear, disguised as discipline. Her thumb brushes the trigger. I'm not built to watch, she murmurs. The scene freezes on her eyes, cold focus behind the glass. Then, 72 hours earlier, inside a field command tent, fluorescent lights buzz like angry wasps. Colonel Brennan, sleeves rolled, points to a satellite image spread across the table. Overwatch only. You watch. They extract. Everyone goes home. Tessa studies the map. A narrow dirt road twisting through dense jungle. One entry. No exit. Threat assessment? She asks. Brennan shrugs. Local cartel. A dozen rifles. Maybe less. You'll be fine. She tilts her head, not smiling. When someone says you'll be fine, she thinks. Start counting your rounds. Later that night, rotor blades slice the dark sky. The helo banks over a canopy of black and green. Tessa's team moves fast. Logan the spotter, Mia on comms, Ethan on rear security. Fast rope down. Boots hit mud, engines fade. Silence swallows them whole. The jungle is endless humidity. The air thick as syrup. Insects hum like static under her helmet. They move single file, each footstep rehearsed, breathing in rhythm. 5 clicks to the ridge, Logan whispers. Tessa nods, then freezes. Voices ahead, Spanish. 2 organized to be farmers. 4 silhouettes move between trees, rifles slung tight, flashlights cutting through mist. They drop flat. Mud fills her gloves. A boot stops inches from Ethan's face. The gunman pauses, listens. 10 seconds stretch into forever. Then he moves on. When they finally exhale, Ethan mutters, "Not cartel." Tessa's reply is a whisper, "No, they're not." By dawn, they reach the ridge high ground overlooking the only road through the valley. They set up their hide, weave leaves into their ghillie nets, align optics. From here, they can see everything. The road, the clearing, the perfect kill zone. 3 days of silence follow. They eat cold rations, filter swamp water, and take turns sleeping. Through her scope, Tessa watches trucks, locals, animals, every movement logged. But something feels wrong. Day 2, she spots new boot prints near the road. Wrong tread pattern. Military issue. "Logan," she says quietly. "Glass that tree line." He adjusts his spotting scope. Multiple dug positions, machine guns, mortar tubes. 24. Mia's headset crackles, picking up chatter, encrypted frequencies. That's not cartel traffic. Tessa's eyes narrow. "Let me hear it." The static bursts into fragments of English orders, grid coordinates, professional cadence. Calm. She feels her stomach tighten. These aren't cartel. This is a setup. She radios command. "Overwatch. 2 to base. We have hostile forces setting ambush positions on the extraction route. Recommend abort. Command answers without hesitation. Negative. SEAL element already inbound. Maintain position. Do not compromise your hide. Tessa closes her eyes for a second. The line stays open just long enough to hear distant typing someone in an air-conditioned room far away. Then, silence. She lowers the mic. Her jaw clenches. Logan glances at her. What did they say? Same thing they always say, she replies. Stay put. Mia removes her headset slowly. Tessa, that's 50+ operators down there. Heavies. If the convoy hits that road, it's over. Tessa checks her rifle, chambering around with a muted click. Then we don't let them die blind, she says. As night falls, the jungle grows louder. Frogs, rain, distant thunder. Lightning flickers across the ridge, revealing the faint outline of trucks below. Engines rumble, headlights cut through mist. The SEAL convoy, Logan whispers. Through her scope, Tessa sees them 3 vehicles moving cautiously, unaware of the jaws waiting ahead. Her hand grips the rifle tighter. Every instinct screams that it's wrong, that it's already too late. She feels her breath steady, her mind split between training and conscience. The jungle seems to lean closer, holding its breath with her. Somewhere, far below, a branch snaps, metal clinks, then silence again. Tessa's finger rests on the trigger. Her voice is barely a breath. 70 meters from the kill zone, and command's still saying hold position. She exhales. Copy that. The first drops of rain tap against her helmet, soft as static. She doesn't wipe them away. Through the scope, she watches headlights fade into darkness and waits for the inevitable. The jungle waited in silence. Then came the thunder. The first explosion ripped through the valley. An IED buried beneath the lead truck. The blast flipped the armored vehicle sideways, fire bursting from its belly. Shouts erupted over the comms. Tracer rounds streaked from both sides, slicing the dark like falling stars. Contact! Contact! A SEAL shouted through static. The second truck was hit next, smoke pouring from its engine. The rear vehicle reversed, tires skidding in mud. Then the jungle answered with machine guns, relentless, disciplined, like they were following a drill. Tessa watched it all unfold through her scope. Her pulse was steady, but her jaw was locked. 12 SEALs trapped on a road with no exits, boxed in by 2 hills bristling with fire. Command had said, observe. That order was now a death sentence. She spoke into her mic. Overwatch 2 to base. The convoy is taking heavy fire, multiple casualties. Request permission to engage. Command replied, flat and detached. Negative. Maintain overwatch. Do not compromise your position. She stared at the comm device like it had spoken another language. Below, she saw a SEAL crawl into cover, then get hit before he could reload. Logan swore under his breath. We can't sit here. Tessa didn't answer. Her rifle moved on instinct, tracking targets, calculating distances. Ma'am, Ethan whispered. If we reveal position, they'll triangulate, and doesn't matter. Her voice was calm, like Shed already made peace with the outcome. They're dying down there. She called out softly. Mia, you still linked to command? Yes, ma'am. Kill the feed. Go local channel only. Mia hesitated, then flicked a switch. Done. Tessa looked at her team faces streaked with mud and fear. You 3 hold this ridge, provide suppression if you can. But him going down there? Logan turned to her sharply. You leave this position, you're on your own. She nodded. Then I'll do what I was trained for. She checked her rifle, slipped 2 extra magazines into her vest, and pulled a bandana over her mouth. 60 rounds, she whispered to herself. Let's see how far math can bend. Then she moved 1 clean motion over the ridge and into the abyss below. The jungle swallowed her instantly. Rain began to fall, masking her movement. She moved low, silent, every footstep deliberate. Through the thick foliage, muzzle flashes flickered ahead, bright, the rhythmic bursts of death. She crawled closer until the smell of gunpowder mixed with the stench of burning fuel. Her first target was a heavy machine gun nest 20 meters from the road. 3 men, 1 firing, 1 feeding ammo, 1 spotting. She dropped behind a log, exhaled, and fired. The gunner's head snapped back. The loader turned 2 more shots. 2 bodies fell. She moved immediately. Never stay still after a shot. Her next position was under a massive fern. She slid through the mud, checked the horizon, adjusted her scope. An RPG team crouched by a rock formation, readying a shot at the trapped seals. 2 quick squeezes of the trigger, and the rocket tumbled uselessly into the dirt. Voices shouted in Spanish. Orders. Confusion. Someone was yelling for a medic. She switched her position again, flanking left, moving by instinct through roots and vines. The rain grew heavier, and every breath came out as steam. Overwatch 2, Maya's voice whispered in her ear. They're adapting, breaking squads into pairs, searching the perimeter. Let them search, Tessa said. They'll find ghosts. A beam of flashlight cut across the ferns just meters away. She froze. Boots crushed the mud near her head. The beam lingered, then moved on. She waited 5 seconds, then another 5. Only when the jungle quieted did she rise. Through her scope, she spotted a new figure, a tall man with a headset, coordinating movement. Not local, military posture, foreign gear. Mia, she whispered. What frequency are they using? Mia tapped her tablet. That's NATO encryption. Tessa's stomach tightened. Say again. Confirmed. Whoever they are, they're trained. Tessa's voice dropped. Then we're not fighting the cartel. The revelation hit like another explosion. This wasn't a random ambush, it was a trap designed with military precision. Someone inside command had leaked the route. She pushed forward, her resolve hardening with every step. Ahead, an enemy sniper in a tree adjusted his rifle, sight fixed on the SEAL convoy. Tessa exhaled once, fired through leaves and distance. The man dropped like a broken marionette. She kept moving. The rain disguised her, wrapped her in noise. Below, she saw the SEALs regrouping, rallying around a burning vehicle. They didn't know who was helping them, but they could feel the tide shifting. Overwatch 2. Viking's voice came through faint but alive. Whoever's out there, you're saving our asses. Tessa reloaded her second magazine. Don't thank me yet, she murmured. I'm not done. Her gloves slipped on wet metal as she crawled closer to the enemy's command node. A dozen voices shouted orders. A satellite phone blinked under a tarp. She steadied her rifle, eyes cold, breathing even. She whispered into her mic. Logan, if you still have eyes on me, don't lose them. Copy, he said softly. Godspeed. Tessa aimed. Through the crosshairs, she saw the face of the man giving orders scarred, calm, professional. Not a mercenary, a soldier. She tightened her grip on the trigger. The storm roared overhead. Thunder rolled like artillery fire. Tessa's finger hovered for half a heartbeat. Then she pulled. The commander fell backward, the radio clattering into mud. Chaos erupted below. Fighters screamed, blind without leadership. Tessa adjusted her aim one shot after another. The jungle lit up with muzzle flashes, gunfire, and rain. And in the middle of it all, one woman moved like smoke, silent, lethal, unstoppable. Gunfire echoed through the valley, but Tessa barely heard it anymore. Her world had narrowed to breath, rhythm, and the weight of her rifle. Every heartbeat felt measured, every movement rehearsed. The air was thick with the scent of burnt powder and wet leaves. She advanced downhill, stepping between roots slick with rain. Mud clung to her boots, leaves whispered under her gear. Each sound she made felt amplified, like the jungle itself was holding its breath. Her headset crackled once. Logan's voice came faint and broken. Eyes on your 6. 2 patrols moving to flank. You've got maybe 2 minutes before they find your trail. Copy, she whispered. Then it'll just move faster. The first patrol appeared to her left 3 fighters, cautious, disciplined. Their weapons swept the underbrush, their formation too tight for amateurs. She dropped prone, adjusted the rifle's angle through a curtain of vines, and waited until the lead man turned. One suppressed shot snapped through rain. The man folded silently. 2 more shots, quick, clean. The rest of the jungle didn't notice. Thunder rolled overhead, covering the sound of death. Tessa crawled forward, keeping low, using every fallen trunk as cover. Her breathing was steady, but her muscles trembled with fatigue. A flash of movement, another sniper, 50 meters away, scanning the ridge. She froze. His muzzle was pointed almost directly at her position. Through the scope, She saw his gloved finger resting on the trigger. She shifted left, inch by inch, mud soaking through her sleeves. Then she took her shot. The man fell backward out of his perch, rifle tumbling through the branches. "Sniper down," she murmured. "Sector clear." For the first time in hours, her radio was silent. No command voices, no instructions, just rain and the faint crackle of open channels. She could almost feel the jungle watching her now, neither friend nor foe, just witness. Down below, the seals were rallying. She could see flashes of their movement between trees, regrouping behind the burning wreckage. They were holding the line, but without leadership. The enemy still outnumbered them. Tessa wiped water from her scope and scanned for the command node. There, beneath a canvas canopy, men shouting into radios. She counted 7. One wore foreign combat gear. Another carried a satellite phone. She took a knee, steadied her rifle, adjusted for wind and elevation. 90 meters. The range she trained for. She fired. The leader's chest snapped back, blood misting into rain. Before the others could react, she moved targets 1, 2, 3. Each shot deliberate, surgical. Bullets tore through the canopy in response. Branches splintered. Leaves exploded around her. She rolled behind a tree, heart pounding, counting down the seconds until the return fire stopped. When the jungle went quiet again, she peeked through her scope. The enemy's radios were dead, their operators gone. She exhaled slowly. "Command node neutralized," she whispered. The SEAL frequency burst alive. "Viking actual to Overwatch enemies breaking." "We're pushing," Tessa replied, her voice low but steady. "Copy that. You've got open ground now. Move while they're disorganized." "Who the hell are you?" he asked, breathless between bursts of gunfire. She smiled faintly, just the eyes in the trees. The next few minutes blurred into survival. She repositioned twice, cutting down the last machine gun nests, still firing toward the road. Each trigger pull echoed like punctuation marks in a language only soldiers understood. When her magazine clicked empty, she reloaded her last 120 rounds left. Through her scope, she saw SEALs advancing, clearing one trench after another. The enemy lines disintegrated into chaos. Lightning flashed, and for a moment, she saw it clearly: men dropping weapons, running into the trees. The ambush that had begun with absolute control was now unraveling under panic. Her radio hissed again, Maya's voice, soft and trembling. "Overwatch, your vitals are spiking. Get out of there." "Not yet," Tessa answered. "I'm finishing what we started." She rose to a crouch, moving toward the final position. She hadn't cleared a bunker dug deep into the slope. 2 fighters guarded it, firing sporadically toward the road. She flanked wide, using smoke and shadow, crawling through thorns that tore at her sleeves. The closer she got, the louder her pulse became. One breath, one thought, one target. She emerged behind the bunker and fired twice. The first man fell instantly. The second turned, wild-eyed. His rifle barked. Bullets sliced air where she'd been. She dove sideways, mud splashing across her face. The impact rattled her bones, but her rifle came up again before she could think. 2 more shots, and silence returned. She lay still, chest heaving. Rain pattered against her helmet, washing blood and dirt into the earth. Every muscle screamed to stop moving, but she forced herself up. "Logan," she whispered. "Status?" His voice came faintly through static. "Ridge secure. SEALs are clear. They're calling for extraction." "You did it, Tess." She allowed herself one long breath, the first since the ambush began. "Negative," she murmured. "We did it." Then a sound, soft, too close. She spun, rifle up. A single hostile, hidden under ferns, raised his AK. Both fired. The world slowed to a heartbeat. Her shot hit first. His bullet missed by inches, splintering bark beside her head. Tessa dropped to one knee, chest burning, breath sharp and uneven. For a long moment, she didn't move, just listened to the rain, to the echo of distant rotor blades, to the sound of a battle finally ending. She wiped her face with a trembling hand. "Not today," she whispered, voice barely audible. And with that, she started the long climb back toward the ridge, leaving behind smoke, silence, and 19 fallen enemies who would never know the name of the ghost who found them in the rain. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the jungle still smoked. Charred leaves drifted in puddles, and the air smelled of fuel and iron. Tessa moved through it like a ghost, returning to flesh, slow, deliberate, her rifle lowered but never relaxed. "Overwatch, 2 to ridge," she whispered. Static, then Logan's voice came through, half broken by interference. "Copy, Tess. SEALs secured the road. Choppers inbound. You've got maybe 10 minutes before they lift." "Good," she said quietly. "That's all I need." She climbed back up the ridge, boots sliding through wet soil. Her muscles ached from hours of crawling, and every breath came sharp. But she didn't stop. The first light of dawn burned faint orange through the mist, cutting silhouettes from the smoke. At the top, Logan, Mia, and Ethan were already breaking down their hide. When they saw her, they froze. For a moment, no one spoke. Mud streaked her face, blood stained her sleeve, eyes hollow but alive. Logan gave a short laugh that sounded like disbelief. 19 confirmed. "You really did it." Tessa shook her head. "No, I just made sure they could finish what they started." They moved together toward the extraction zone. Rotor thunder rolled through the valley, echoing off the trees. The helicopter dropped low, whipping the smoke into spirals. The SEAL team waited nearby, bandaged, exhausted, alive. As Tessa stepped off the last slope, Viking, the team leader, turned toward her. His uniform was torn, his arm in a sling, but his posture was unshaken. "Staff Sergeant Grayson," he said, voice rough. "We owe you more than we can ever say." She adjusted her sling, eyes steady. "You owe me nothing. You held the line." Viking smiled faintly. "No, you changed the line." He reached into his pocket and handed her a small black box. "From the team," he said simply. Inside was a matte trident, the Navy insignia modified with 19 engraved marks, and the words, "One shot, one life." Tessa's throat tightened. "I can't accept this." "You already did," Viking replied. "Every one of us added a mark. 19 lives breathing because you refused to watch." She closed the box and handed it back, but he pushed it into her vest pocket. "Keep it. Not for pride, so you remember what happens when someone chooses to act." The rotor wash kicked up debris around them. Tessa boarded last, staring down at the black trail of smoke fading beneath the canopy. No celebration, no victory cry, just the weight of silence between survivors. When the helicopter touched down at Forward Base Sentinel, the air was thick with diesel and rain. Colonel Brennan stood outside the operations tent, arms crossed, jaw set like granite. The moment she stepped off the ramp, his voice cut through the noise. "Inside, now." The briefing tent was dim, filled with maps, coffee cups, and the hum of tired electronics. He tossed a folder onto the table. Incident reports, casualty estimates, classified photos. "You disobeyed orders," he began, voice low but sharp. "You compromised your position, led an unsanctioned engagement, and operated solo in hostile territory." Tessa stood at attention, hands at her sides. "Yes, sir." He stared at her for a long second, then sighed. "You also saved 12 American lives, neutralized an unidentified foreign task force, and prevented a political disaster. So now I get to write the most confusing citation in the history of this command." She almost smiled. "He'll try to keep the next one simple." "Don't," he said, softening. "The world needs complicated people who do the right thing." He slid a sealed envelope toward her. "Silver Star recommendation. Don't open it yet. Go clean up. Get some rest." Hours later, the base had gone quiet. In her quarters, the only sound was the steady hum of an overhead fan. Tessa sat on the edge of her bunk, stripped of armor, staring at her rifle on the table. The black box lay beside it. Her hands trembled as she opened it again. 19 marks, shining faintly under the lamplight. Each one a heartbeat, a choice, a face she could still remember. Her comm unit buzzed once. A text appeared. "New mission, 48 hours, same region." She exhaled through her nose, weary but resolute. "They never learn," she whispered. Tessa leaned back, eyes half closed, and for the first time since the ambush, allowed herself to feel it. The fear shed buried under training, the exhaustion that lived behind every calm order. For a moment, she wasn't the ghost in the canopy. She was just a soldier who'd survived one more day. Her voice came soft, more thought than sound. They said I made 19 hits that day, but I fired 23 rounds. She paused, staring at the rifle's barrel. 4 missed. Her reflection shimmered in the metal. 4 men escaped. A chill ran through her as the memory replayed the scarred commander, crawling away through the mud, eyes locking on hers. And one of them, she whispered, knew my name. Outside, thunder rolled again, distant but familiar. The storm hadn't left, it had only circled back. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating, with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.